guys, it's Jade, and currently I am still in Europe, so another pre-film video coming at you. And if you guys don't know why I'm in Europe and you want to know what I'm up to over there, make sure you guys click the link in my bio. It will take you to the video where I explain all about why I am over in Europe and why you guys are seeing pre-film videos for quite a while. So for today's video, since I am currently traveling, I thought it would be fun to share with you guys some books that inspired me to travel. So while I was reading these books, they made me want to travel. They made me want to go to the places that these characters were experiencing. So some of the cities that are talked about in these books are places I've always really wanted to go to, and these books just made me want to go there even more. But some of these places are more ones that I was like, oh, I think I'd want to go there, and these books made me really want to go there. And even one of them that I would have probably never have gone to if I hadn't read this book. So let me share with you guys some of the books that inspired me to travel and did inspire part of the cities I'm going to on my travels. So first off, I want to start with the city of London, and really the books that made me go, oh, I really need to go to London is the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in this series, Clockwork Princess. These books take place in London, England in about, I think, the 1800s, so kind of steampunk Victorian era London. And obviously, you know, we're in 2017 now, so it's not going to be Victorian era, but you know, there's still a lot of things in London that were in this book then. There's Big Ben, there's Parliament, there's a whole lot of things, and just a lot of London is very old, so a lot of it would still look the same. And this book just gave such richness to the city of London. Like, I think it was a great place for this book to take place in because it made me really want to go there as well. Next up, I have two books that really made me want to go to Russia, or I guess I should say go back to Russia, because I have been there before. I went there when I was 9 years old with my grandpa and mom. We went to St. Petersburg, Moscow, and a few other little places on the Volga River. So the first one I want to talk about is Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead. This is the fourth book in the Vampire Academy series. It's signed on the front by the author. To me, it's a little smudged. You know, in hindsight, I don't really know why I decided I wanted her to sign the cover, because this is my favorite cover out of the series, so maybe that was why, but it was kind of weird that I wanted her to ruin the cover. But anyways, going off tangent, this book takes place almost exclusively in Russia. Rose starts off in the western part of Russia, the European part of Russia, and then travels over to Siberia, which is, I still technically like call Russia, whatever, to like Novosibirsk, and just kind of showed like the beauty of the Russian countryside. And so while I've already been to St. Petersburg and Moscow, this book really made me want to go check out parts of Russia I haven't been to take the train across and go to Siberia and kind of see like the natural beauty of Russia and go to some kind of more less known places in Russia. I love the setting of this book and the whole Russian culture it had, and finding out more about Dmitri. And so this book, reading this, made me really want to go back to Russia, but more to parts I haven't been to. While this next book specifically made me really want to go back to St. Petersburg in Russia, which I have been to before, and that's The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. I love this book so much. Like, you guys don't even know, this is in my top 5 books of all time. I love the whole series, but this book is definitely my favorite, and it takes place mainly in St. Petersburg, Russia, though at the time of this book it was renamed Leningrad, but was renamed back to St. Petersburg after the war and the USSR ended, or something like that. You know, I'm not too versed in Russian culture. But yeah, I really did like St. Petersburg when I went there. Granted, it's been a while, so, you know, I don't remember it too much. But, you know, it wasn't like, oh, I want to go back there so bad. But reading this book made me want to go back there so bad and really experience the city again in a whole new light. This book made me absolutely fall in love with St. Petersburg, even though it's going through a really tough time in this book. And also she does go to the Russian countryside here, and these two books really just showed the beauty of Russia, other than like the cityscape, but also like the natural parts of Russia and the countryside. So after reading this book, I'm determined I have to get back to St. Petersburg, and this time venture out further out of the cities and go to the country. This next book made me really want to go back to Barcelona, which is another place I've been before. Granted, it was only for about 8 hours though, so definitely was not enough to experience the city. And while originally it was going to be on my itinerary for my trip, I decided to take it off because there were so many more other cities I wanted to experience I had never been to. And while I do need to go back to Barcelona, it just wasn't the time for this trip. But this book really did make me want to go back, and that's Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. They're really only in Barcelona for 2 days, but I think it's only like 3 chapters of this book. But hearing them go to all the places that I've been to, the Sagrada Familia, which is actually almost done construction, which is cool, go back there and see it, and all the beautiful architecture in the city and seeing it through Isla's eyes, who loves architecture. Strolling through the parks, which I definitely didn't get to do. So this book made me really want to go back there, and it also made me want to go to Paris even more than I already do, because it mainly takes place in Paris. That's where the boarding school is. And speaking of Paris, Anna and the French Kiss, also by Stephanie Perkins, made me want to go to Paris as well. This one definitely made me want to go to Paris though more than Isla and the Happily Ever After. Anna is starting out boarding school in Paris. This is her first year there. So it was really cool seeing her start her first year in a foreign country studying abroad and in the city of Paris and making friends there and learning the language and going out and exploring the whole city while Isla had been going there for years. So this book made me really want to go to Paris, and the Eiffel Tower is even on it. And I am going to Paris on my trip, so I'm really excited to see some of the places that are mentioned in these books. Now, one of the cities I've always really wanted to go to, it's always been pretty top on my list, is a city I am really happy that I'm able to go to on this trip, and that's Amsterdam. And there are actually 2 books that reading made me really want to go to Amsterdam. One of them is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, of course, because how could this book not make you want to go to Amsterdam? Hazel and Augustus go to Amsterdam on her like Make-A-Wish trip, and they go to the Anne Frank house, which is a place I've always wanted to go to. Reading about it in the book and seeing it in the movie, because the movie also did help a lot, actually, like showing it, all the canals, you know, them having their romantic dinner here. In the book I liked it so much better because, you know, it was like on the water with the flowers falling, and it just sounded so beautiful. And it also didn't hurt that, you know, they're falling in love in this city together. And so this book made me really want to go there, and I'm really excited to be going to Amsterdam this year. And I am definitely looking for the bench from the movie. So hopefully I can find it and take a picture with it, because that would be pretty awesome. The other series that made me really want to go to Amsterdam as well is the Just One Day and Just One Year duology by Gail Foreman. So this book goes all around Europe. It's Paris and Amsterdam and London. So this book also made me want to go to Paris and experience it. More than Paris, this book made me really want to go to Amsterdam. The last part of this book takes place in Amsterdam, and reading all about Willem and Allison experience Amsterdam together, and that's where Willem is from. It was really cool and made me really excited to go there eventually, and I'm going there on this trip. They also do go to Paris in this book as well, so it made me want to go to Paris. And in this specific one, the one told from Willem's perspective, also goes to India. This book made me want to go to India too. If you read these books, they are really going to make you want to travel. Like all the other ones, you'll be like, oh, that city sounds great, but these ones you'll read and be like, I want to go to Europe, I want to go around the world and explore and travel, especially in Just One Day, which is told from Allison's perspective, where she actually goes to Europe by herself as well, though to find a boy, so a little different. And she goes to Paris and Amsterdam, so she goes around a little bit, much less than I'm going to be going around, but does go around a little bit. So, you know, hearing her go on her travels alone and staying in hostels and meeting people, it really made me want to travel. Like, so these books, if you guys want to travel, read this series. It's going to make you want to travel even more. It's going to get your wanderlust bug going. Now, this city I am super excited for. It's one of the top ones on my list, and that is Prague in the Czech Republic. Prague is always a place that's like been on my radar, like I've heard of it, but I was never like, I gotta go to Prague, until I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This book takes place mainly in Prague, and the other books have a little bit of Prague in it, but it's mainly this one that is where Karou is living, and hearing about these cool bars they're going to and like coffee shops, how they're like World War I era. It sounded so cool, and just like how Prague is described in these books, it made me really want to go there. So when I was researching my trip, I started researching Prague, and I was like, man, the city sounds great. And I was like, I gotta go to those like cool World War I era bars that they were talking about in this book. So I found some. So I'm definitely going to be going to those when I'm in Prague. And this is my favorite book series of all time. I love this so much. So this is the one book that if I can find a Czech version of it in Prague, I'm gonna buy it just for like the sentimental reasons. It's my favorite book and it takes place in Prague, so I want to buy it if it's in Prague. But if it's an ugly cover, like, does that sound bad that I won't buy it? So I hope the Czech version is pretty, and I hope I can find it, because I gotta commemorate my favorite book somehow. So I think that'd be really cool. And finally, the book that inspired me to go to a city I had never even heard of before reading this book, and I'm now super excited for. It's definitely one of the top places of the cities I'm going to that I'm most excited for, and that is Krakow, Poland, which I first read about in The Commandant's Girl by Pam Genoff. I don't actually have a physical copy of this. I just have it on my Kindle. I got it from the library like 3 times, checked out, and finally was just like, okay, I need to get it on my Kindle. I do, though, need to buy a paperback version of it too. But with this, I can like read it on the train. So The Commandant's Girl is a historical fiction that takes place in Krakow, Poland during World War II. And I had never even heard of Krakow. I think the only city I'd ever heard of in Poland is Warsaw, which is the capital, which I'm not going to. I'm going to Krakow. Reading also about how important Krakow was to the war in Poland, like how it was like a big place, because that's actually the city that Auschwitz is by. It's about 20 to 30 miles away from Auschwitz. So it was, you know, a really big place for the Nazis that were occupied in Poland. And it was also a really big place for the Jewish resistance, which is what the main character in this book becomes a part of. And so reading about her experience with that and the Jewish ghetto and everything, and just like the history of the city, it made me really want to go there. And then when I was researching the city, I heard how beautiful it was, and how it's like Prague, but like a less crowded version of Prague. It's not as well known, and that made me so excited to go there. So while I did put it on my list after reading this book, it wasn't one I was like super excited for. I mean, I was excited, but it was like definitely on the second half of my list. But after reading about it, and then also finding out that Auschwitz is close by, which is somewhere I've always wanted to go, since going to the World War II Museum in New Orleans is my favorite thing to do. I really enjoy reading about the history of it and learning. So, you know, hopefully we don't make those mistakes again. So it made it shoot up. So I'm so excited to go there after reading this book, because I don't know if I would have been going there on this trip. You know, hopefully I would have heard about it at some point, but who knows? So I have the Commandant's Girl to thank for actually giving me a city to go to that I wouldn't have gone to on this trip. And I'm so excited to go to Krakow now. Well, those are just some of the books that have inspired me over the years to want to go travel, and have inspired me to go to cities that I've been to before but go back to, and go to cities I've never been to before, and even inspired cities for this trip. So that's why I wanted to share with you guys. It relates to what I'm doing. So let me know in the comments down below what books you guys have read that have inspired you to travel, that have made you want to travel, and let me know what cities those books inspired you to want to travel to. And also let me know if you guys have specifically gone to a city after reading it in a book, or that book put the city on your radar, like it did for me for Krakow. So let me know if books specifically made you seek out a city. And if you guys are not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And if you guys did like this video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, my name is Jade, and I'll be seeing you guys soon with a new video. Bye!